Welcome, everybody. Excited to have Jennifer Wynder with me today. I've had an opportunity to work with Jennifer for quite a while now, and she's got an amazing story that I want her to share in so many different ways. That I asked her to come on today so that we could talk about her story and what she's doing and really just share it with y'all. So welcome, Jennifer. Thanks for being with me. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Jennifer Wynder. I'm up here in Alberta, Canada, and I'm a mom. I'm a business owner, entrepreneur, family coach. I have lots of different hats. You
do. So lots of different hats. That's an easy way of saying it. Definitely. So let's start with your entrepreneurial journey. You know, a lot of the people that listen to this are entrepreneurs or looking to start that journey, and you've done some really cool things. So let's talk about that and where that all started and how it happened and what it is.
Okay. I think I've been an entrepreneur forever. I've always had different ideas and always tried to figure out, can I make money from that? Right from in my teenage years, up until now. And I've had different things. I've taught sewing classes. I've sold clothes. I've little things here and there. But about 10 years ago, I had this idea come to me, kind of the beginning of an idea, about the importance of spirit, nature, art, and stories in lives. Although I'm not sure I'm trying to think of back then, I probably didn't even have it in those words, but it was an idea that connection in a family needs to be built and that we need to have goals. And I sort of had this vision of an idea, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if first I thought I could teach it on stage kind of a thing. But then I thought, wouldn't it be really, really great to have a place to do that? And, because of my past and having ideas come, and I would write them all out and kind of work through them, and eventually they'd either disappear or I would do something with them. And my dear sweet husband, who is patient and wonderful and kind, I didn't always take it to him until I knew there's a point of no return. And I remember sitting around a campfire with friends of ours, and we had at the time 3 young foster children in our home, and we were camping, and they were filthy at the end of the day. We were sitting around the fire, and they'd been outside all day, and their faces were dirty and their hands were dirty, and they were enjoying these sticky, gooey marshmallows. And we were talking about how wonderful it was with friends of ours that they could do this and experience this. And so then I sort of started to talk about this idea I had, that how important it is to be in nature and to be free, our kids to be free to do this. And then I talked about how it would be fun to have it as a business, and how it would be great to have a campground or something. And that I'd actually, by that time, talk to a realtor about different ideas. And anyway, it was also I was telling my friends, but it was the first time that my husband was hearing about it too. So, and he's usually my compass, where he either can really throw in the logistics and the logic and he's sort of my grounder. And he didn't shut it down. And then on the way home, as we were traveling, he said, you didn't shut this down. You didn't even. And we talked a little bit about it. We were coming home on Saturday night. Monday, I went online and I found this incredible campground that was a 5-day drive from our home, which is also another, part of the story that's crazy. Anyway, and I kind of wrote this really quick idea down and sent it to my husband and prayed and said, if this was meant to be, somebody's going to have to be sitting on his shoulder, because this was so out of his comfort zone that I thought there's no possible way that we'll do it. And anyway, long story short, we now own a campground in New Brunswick. I live in Alberta. That's a 5-day drive that we do every 6 months. And we run this campground that has 12 tree houses and cottages and RV and tent sites. And I've been running it for we're heading into our 6th year. And I've learned a ton along the way. And I'm also started to live the part that I really bought the campground for. So I'm starting to do some family coaching, and we're talking about retreats and that kind of thing. So
that's really cool. Now, and I actually haven't heard the full part of that story, because that's one of the things I've always wondered. I'm like, you're both from Alberta, why pick a campground in Eastern Canada? Why not one in Waterton, half an hour away? But actually go into that. It had tree houses. That's one of the things that is so cool about that. Go into that a little bit more about the campground itself.
Well, yeah, there's 12 tree houses, and I mean, I'm all about the magic of things, and it's just so me. So having the tree houses just that was kind of the tipping point. And I did, after I found it, I kind of had that in the back of my head, and I did look at other places, but price comes into it, what availability and starting from scratch, all of those things came into it. And this was just the better, more fun. I'm all about fun. So it was the better choice for me personally. So,
and as you've done this, and I mean, there's a lot of different directions we could go with this conversation, just on the entrepreneurial part. But the thing I love about it is what you talked about from the beginning is your why behind doing it all. And there was a lot more into it. And I'll call it SNAS. Our listeners will understand what that means in a bit, but you kind of alluded to that. Talk a little bit about what that is and how the campground was something that was going to help you achieve what you wanted to achieve.
The campground was not the end. It was sort of the beginning of, it was the vehicle to hopefully get me to where I want to go. But my husband and I we're parents of 3 children. We have our youngest has special needs. He has cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair. So there's, so we're parents of special needs children. And now we're foster parents. And we've probably had about, we were just talking, I think we've had about 18, 19 children through our home in the last 10 years. And I'm learning, there are some things I do and that I've learned along the way that are powerful in building connection with my own children, with foster children, and helping the children in my home build connections with who they are and with relationships that they struggle with or have to, that would want to build, all of those kinds of things. And there's there's basically 4 elements that I've put names to, and I affectionately call it SNAS. I don't love that name, but that's what it's been for the last 5 years, because I can't come up with something else. So I can't seem to find another name that's better, and it stands for spirit, nature, art, and stories. And those are the 4 elements that I really want to help parents learn and be able to use and see the power of them. And they're so simple, not always easy to implement, but really kind of going back to the basics is sort of the idea.
Very cool. So now you said you've had the campground. This is going on your 6th year?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about, because you and I have talked about this, so I know there's been different things that have come up, but what are some of the, as you've tried to put this all together and you've got this whole idea of SNAS and where you want to go with it, what are some of the roadblocks that you've hit? What are some of the walls that have been there that have been stopping you? I mean, I shouldn't say stopping, have stopped you in the past from getting to where you are now? I'm probably the biggest one, and my beliefs. It's taken me a long time to realize that what I do naturally is my superpower. And even saying that is hard to say. And I think there's things that I've naturally been taught by my own mother and that I've experienced. And I think gifts that I've been given that I am realizing not everybody does and everybody knows. And so that's been tricky for me, just
taking that on and saying, okay, because it feels like, doesn't everybody do this? And then just stepping into that role of being a stay-at-home mom, like the transition from being a stay-at-home mom, being like writing that I'm the president of Miramichi Treehouse and Camping, our campground. That was huge and powerful. Like just growing into that, who I want to become. So that's been really big. And it's an ongoing struggle, as you know better than anyone, that's my constant wall that I hit. And then COVID, of course, I mean, no, we're so tired of talking about COVID, but COVID's, I was just kind of getting into, we're going to do a retreat, and then COVID hit. And so that slowed things down a little bit, although the campground itself exploded, which was wonderful. And I learned a ton through that. And I think the families that came to the campground also learned a ton through that as well. Yeah.
So, I mean, you talked about it, that a lot of your biggest hurdles were yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And, in a lot of the coaching I do and in the entrepreneur coaching group, we focus a lot on what you talked about, your superpower, your brand, being the expert, authority marketing, all those things. Talk a little bit about that, because even talking about SNAS, your mom even mentioned it to you once. Yeah, you are the expert because you're the one that created it, right?
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that, and then talk a little bit about each one, and kind of what was, we've talked about calling it the epiphany. What was it that allowed you to say, yeah, this is what I need to share because this is my superpower?
Okay. My mom is my biggest fan. I love that you brought her in, because it's true. And she will say to me, Jennifer, this is who you are. This is in you. This is what you need to share. I'm trying to think of where to start, but I think the more I talk about it, the more I realize, like, the look in people's eyes when they go, wow, you do that. That's kind of a fun thing. So where do you want me to start? Tell me again. Like, so you want me to talk about SNAS itself, like the individual components, or do you want me to?
First, let's talk about the individual components, and then I'll lead you on from there.
Okay. Spirit, nature, art, and stories are the 4 tools that I teach. We start with goals as well, because that's important. And we talk about how the goals that we already have. I have business goals, and I have financial goals, and I have fitness goals, all of those things. But do we have goals for our family? And our family really is our number one thing. So we talk about that. We go through, I have kind of a process to do that. And then we do talk about them individually, but they all work together. They're all interconnected. But spirit, we talk about how important it is to know that there's something beyond ourselves. And we all have different beliefs. We all have, there's no one way to do it. Sometimes it's the universe, it's Mother Earth, it's God, it's Jesus Christ. It's, there's all different beliefs out there, but there's still that there's a power that comes from spirit, and even just being still enough to hear our inner voice. If that's all we can believe in is just our inner voice, it's unplugging. It's giving ourselves and our children time to hear even what our inner voice is saying, what we desire, what we want, where we should be going, our own path. Super powerful in that. Nature, I mean, campground is perfect for that, but nature, I just can't even, and it encompasses, I think, all of them really, because nature, it is a natural place to unplug, to be able to hear the natural noises, and it hits all the senses. And there's a power even just going for a walk. I've done it with my own children, where if we're struggling with something, when we can put our shoes on and we can walk and we're side by side, we're not even looking at each other, mouths seem to open and things come out that don't come out anywhere else. So there's a magic in that. Art, people they're afraid of that word, art. We do not have to be Picasso to have art in our lives, but even creativity and be able to think outside the box. And, that's the only way that we learn to do things differently. That's how things come to be. That's how science evolves. That's how all of these things, because of creativity and art. And messy play is also tied into there. And there's a lot of pushback from that too, because often parents don't like mess, but messy play is hugely important because, again, all the senses, it's great for brain development. And then stories is kind of twofold, and it's so powerful. We need to know our own stories. There is a power in knowing our stories, our ancestors, who we came from, where we're going. It helps us to know where we're going. And I think we all need to gather those family stories so that we know who we are. If we know grandma's superpower and how incredible she was. I mean, my grandmother has been gone a long time, but she was an incredible, amazing woman. And she's at the campground with me all the time. Because that's just, that part of me, there's a part of me that's so much like her that I love, that knowing that she'd be proud of what I'm doing. And if I'm driving a tractor and learning how to drive a tractor and all of those things, that she's right there beside me cheering me on. There's a power in that. And then stories also, I've used stories with foster children to process and make believe stories where I let them lead the way, and there's a power in that too, and allowing them to tell their own story and to to give them the tools so that they can also realize that they may not have had very much control in their lives so far, but from here on out, we can give them that power back. And it's amazing what stories can do.
So I love hearing you talk about this, because it's obvious how passionate you are about it, but you weren't sharing it.
I know.
So share what was, as I said earlier, what you and I have talked about, your epiphany. What was your epiphany that said, yeah, I've got to take this to the world. I've got to take this to the families that need this.
There's been a few things. I think talking about it and realizing what I do know, and it is exciting to me. That's been a powerful thing. I've also recently I had a dream, and I could see children, families, and me, and just that they needed me to do it, which is, it's crazy, and that's a very personal thing, but it's enough. It was enough for me to say, you know what, this is in me, and I've got to share it in order to. I just feel like it's a mission. It's part of my mission here on this earth, and I need to do it, and I will reach those people who need it. And
yeah, the more I've worked with you and the more I've learned about your message, I agree. It needs to be shared. Families need this, people need this. But there's also, even at that point, when you realize that, okay, yes, I do need to share this, you've hit a lot of walls.
I have.
You look over even at your first retreat, and you alluded to it earlier, then COVID hit. And then, even as recent as this past week, we were talking about another wall you hit. So talk a little bit about some of the walls that you've hit that have kind of been your challenge to make sure that you're all in.
A lot of it has just been my own belief about who I like, about that I'm the right person to do it. A lot of it's just been such a personal thing of me getting rid of the pride and just sharing it. And like, I don't have to reach everybody. I just have to reach those people who need to hear the message. And that's helped and been powerful too. Yeah, and you're talking about just this last week, I'm also realizing it's because life goes on, right? So there's so many aspects, and I talked about wearing so many hats, and my baby is 22 years old, and he's Jacob, and he'll be with us forever. And he has cerebral palsy, so he will be, all of his needs need to be met by somebody. And so he'll be in our home, and that's all good. But then I have foster children in my home that are teenagers, and eventually, just looking at their path and how they're going to become adults, and realizing that maybe this is the end of that part of parenting. So I'm, adjusting to that. And there's just a lot of, and trying to balance the whole life and which hat I'm wearing and when, and what that looks like in the future. So it's not anything really external. It's all internal that I'm feeling. It's crazy. And I can laugh at it, but yet it's still there. And I have to figure it out as I go. And just feeling like I'm the person to do it is humbling. And it's been a journey to believe that this is what I'm to share. So,
and so much of this, and I think everyone can learn from it. It's your identity. Who do you identify as? Because we've both read a lot of the same books and stuff, so we've talked about this. But whether it's in 5 years, 10 years, or whatever, you're going to become somebody. So who are you? Are you just going to let that happen, or are you going to be in control of who you become? And around the whole idea of authority marketing that we've been working on and talking about, it's even looking at things as you said, like, am I a coach? And I remember telling you once, well, have you coached families in this? Well, yes, you are a coach.
Yes.
And one of the things, and this was actually this was a lot easier sell to you than I anticipated it was going to be, when we were talking about the whole process. And I talked about authorship and writing a book and sharing what you have as the expert in this. And so talk a little bit about that too, because
okay, I am writing a book. I was I'm just kind of putting down, and that's been a powerful tool just for me. Even if I never published it, it would just be being able to write down what I know, and then learning so much more, because there are things that I know, but then I have to research on how do I know this, and is there science behind it, that kind of thing. That's where I'm at right now. So I'm sort of wading through all of that. But I'm becoming, and it's interesting. My kids have always said that I need to write a book, because I've kind of lived my life in a crazy way, and adventure is one of my very favorite words. And I've had my children, I have a picture, I wrote for a newspaper, and I have a picture of Jacob, my baby, and my two kids, and we're on the roof stargazing, and we've lived that kind of crazy life. I think it's all for living, and let's enjoy it. And fun. I love the word fun and adventure. So I guess maybe it wasn't such a hard sell, because it's been in the back of my head for a long time. And my daughter is always saying, Mom, write a book, Mom, write a book. So this isn't the book I think she's talking about, but it is a start, and it is the book I'm writing right now. So it's all about SNAS and how to, what it is, and the science behind it, and what it does to the brain, and why it's good for us, and how it builds connection, and why we should have it in our lives and be using it.
So throughout this process, I really feel like you have got to that point. There's still obviously things in the works. The book's coming. I should say the books are coming, but the first one's going to be not too far off. But there's been a lot of achievements along the way, and I want to talk about all these. You've created the SNAS challenge. You've started coaching. You've had retreats. You've got more retreats in the works, those sort of things. So let's talk about that now. What are some of the things that you're doing, and why, for a listener that, whether it's a mom or a dad, listening to this, thinking about the different stages, whether their baby's 22 or their baby's 2.
Mm-hmm.
why is this important for them right now? And then what do you offer for them?
It's important at every stage. Yeah. I'm thinking of myself. I mean, I have teenagers and I have adult children. And do I use SNAS? Yes, I use it. I use it for myself to, like when I'm dealing with all of my stuff in here, the getting out. I know that those tools, getting out in nature, being creative. For me, spirit is, like taking time to be still, to meditate, to go to church, those things. And journaling and just processing and brain dumping, that just even for myself, powerful tools. And with my children, I can tell when there's been too much screen time. I can tell there's a difference in how they can regulate how we as a family function when there's been too much of the technology. Not that technology is bad, but just you have to have balance, and we have to teach them that they're in control. And through the campground, I've learned that kids actually really, really want that. They often don't know how to regulate themselves in that, but they need us to do that because they thrive so much more, and they can feel it and they know it. Like at the campground, we have fairy stones. They're tiny little glass beads that the fairies leave all over the campground, and the kids go out and pick them up, find them, and bring them in and trade them in for prizes. So simple. The power that I've seen in that with kids, siblings working together. I've had moms come in tears saying, my children have never been this close. My children have never, like my son came in and got a gift and traded in his stones and gave it to his sister. Like that's never had, and she's crying. There's tears coming down her cheeks because she's never witnessed this before. I have dads and kids out at 7:00 in the morning, and dad has his coffee and the kids are up, and dad's looking just as much. And everybody has their heads down looking, and it's incredible. It is incredible. And it's such a simple little thing, but it shows to me kids want us. They want our attention. They want our one-on-one, they really do crave us to turn off our devices and their devices and look each other in the eye. So that's, I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but that's one of the big things that I've learned about and why we need it in our lives. And with adult children, with teenagers, and even teenagers, I was shocked. I thought even like with fairy stones, I thought fairy stones would, 10 years old maybe, but like I have 16-year-olds that come in. Can we still play? Can we do this? And so we really do crave that time and that ability to turn off our screens.
So I've got two questions. One, I want you to talk about, okay, so if you're coaching a family, what does that look like? What do you do with them? And then I'll come back to the other question, but the next question will be about the challenge. And so talk about your coaching process, what it looks like and what it does for people. Okay. Right now I have a 3-month course or 3-month coaching course. So for 3 months, we start off with goals. We talk about how we need to have individual goals. We need to have couple goals. We need to have family goals. Kids have to have individual goals and how that all works. So we sort of talk about how it works. And then I encourage families to sit down together, like to take the time to make their own goals and to really think about where do they want their family to be in 5 years. Time is so short. I said, my baby's 22. I never thought my baby would be 22, but here I am. That saying, I know. And I hated that when people said that when I was like, you have no idea, stop telling me that time is short, because I'm in the trenches and it's not short. And it's, I'm up to my eyebrows and all kinds of crazy, but it does fly. And we need to be intentional about what we do and how those relationships we want with our kids. So there's that. And then we go through how spirit, nature, art, and stories. So each,
I go through them on a, like, we go through and talk about them individually. We talk about how they work together. And then, I mean, there's different things that they go off and do. There's challenges that they do to see what works for them and how, and then, yeah, it's been successful. It's been fun to see families, and, you know, like families where dad maybe isn't on board and mom's totally spearheading it, but then dad comes in, and it's been fun to see. And some of the kids are more excited about it than others. And one of the things I'm learning is that, and been able to put words to, I knew it was there, but we can't just say to our kids, turn off the screens. That's enough. Put it away. We have to also fill that void and teach them how to fill that void. I mean, we have to teach them that it's okay to be bored, but we also need to give them the tools to say, okay, we've turned off the screens. And I don't know if, I mean, I've done it where I sort of, there's days where I'm doing social media and some of it's for work, some of it's just scrolling, all of that. And then you turn it off and it's like, oh, it's like I've come out of the zone. Ooh, there's a world out here. You know, we have to help our kids figure that out and help them know that there's other really fun things. And knowing it, maybe if parents know that they really do, our kids really do want us and our attention, and that even just getting down on the floor with our little ones, and that's enough. Our teenagers, they fight it, but really they do want us to set boundaries. They do want us to spend time with them. And yeah, it's those things.
I mean, it's obviously something incredible you put together, and having the expert in this being able to coach you through that is amazing. But also share with us, what about the free 14-day challenge? What is that?
There is a 14-day challenge because we're not all ready to jump in. Some of us need to be convinced, and I get it. I absolutely get it. And not convinced. That's not even what it's about. It's sort of a taste of, let's see if this will work for my family, because there are those thoughts like, oh, my child will never do this, or my husband will never, or my wife will never. No, there's no, so there's a 14-day challenge that I've put together, and it's all free, and you can sign up for that. And then you'll get, I should have had it with me, but there's it's not really a calendar, but it has the different headings of spirit, nature, art, and stories. And then there's different ideas to go along with that. And it also comes with kind of the why it's important, what it does, what to look for. And so there is that they can get, that someone can sign up for and start it on their own. And then that can lead into a conversation if they want to reach out and have a conversation with me about how that's going, or how they can just keep doing that, or maybe it's just what they need to the jumping off point, and they can, but there's also, then they can also lead into coaching if they want more.
And where do they get that?
So right now they can get it at, if they go to my Instagram, which is jen.wynder. Is that right? Hold on.
2 N's, I believe. With 2 N's.
2 N's, yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's jen.wynder. It's on there under the SNAS challenge in my bio. They can also email me directly it's jennifer@jenniferwynder.com. They can go to Jennifer Wynder on Facebook, find me in Jen Wynder on Facebook as well. And then there is they can find it through the campground. There's campingmiramichi.com, which is the Facebook or the campground one. So it's there. And then there's my website.
Can I share the main way to get there?
Yes.
snaschallenge.com.
Yes. Can we delete this all and start again?
No, that's great, because I wanted you to share all those other things as well. So that is great. But
I'm just like, blah, blah, blah.
for the free 14-day challenge.
Yeah, yes, yes.
SNASchallenge.com.
Challenge. Yes, that would be easiest.
So yeah.
So the technical part, there's another wall I hit often. The technical part is a little beyond me sometimes.
And so again, besides the SNAS challenge, so obviously they sign up for that, they learn a lot more about you. But if someone right now says, I want to talk to her about some coaching, share your email address again.
It's Jennifer at Jennifer Wynder, and it's JENNIFER, and then Winder's WYNDER.com.
Okay. And for those that are like, yeah, this is all cool, but a treehouse campground. And so Miramichi isn't always the easiest to spell or remember, whatever. How do people find out more about if they're like, all right, we're going to Nova Scotia, we're going camping in tree houses?
Well, it wouldn't be in Nova Scotia, but if they come to New Brunswick,
they
can find me.
Hey,
it's all good.
Anything past Saskatchewan's all the same.
Oh. Okay, well, that's a whole different conversation.
So I guess I have been to Manitoba. So anything past Manitoba, I haven't been to. So
you're missing some of the best parts. It's so great. Miramichi is MIRAMICHI. Miramichi. Yeah. So if you go to campingmiramichi.com, that's the campground website that'll bring up all the information and pictures and all that kind of stuff on there.
I will make it even easier. Go to the show notes and we'll have all the links.
Excellent.
So we'll do that. That will make life easier for all of you that are trying to write it down right now.
Yes. And tried to listen to my whole blubbering through. I don't know, where am I?
That was awesome. Now we have everything. So that is really good. But you've been doing some cool things, and I have watched the whole concept around SNAS and the challenge and everything come together, and this changes families. And I know that's the purpose you have behind all you do. So is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
Just that your family is the most important thing, regardless if you work with me or any other way. It's your family, of course, is your number one. And don't assume that your children want all the bells and whistles. You are their favorite. Their favorite way to spend their time is being with you, and that's super important.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's so much that I hope our audience is getting out of this, especially the opportunities they have for, implementing SNAS into their life, taking the 14-day challenge and using that to implement it into their families, but also learn from Jennifer's journey. And, what is your identity? Who are you going to become? Do you know what your why is behind all of that? And what do you need to do to implement it? And, that's the cool thing, is you've been an action taker on it. Not many people decide, let's buy a campground. How about Eastern Canada? We'll live in Western Canada, but we're going to buy one in Eastern Canada and do these things. And like you said, with the story part, you've got so many stories that are there to help people improve their lives, improve their relationships and all those things. So there's so much we could go into, even the Jen versus Jennifer stuff and all of those things. But I appreciate you spending the time and talking about this and sharing it with our audience. But thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you. And thanks for how you've helped me along this journey. It's been good. It's been good to have someone there to sometimes just kick me in the butt, get me out of my head.
You bet.
Yeah, it's been good.
Are you an entrepreneur? Are you one of the crazy ones, the ones that thinks different, that wants to take action on things because you can change the world? Do you want to become an optimal performing entrepreneur? an entrepreneur that is successful in their business, in their relationships, in their spirituality, in their personal development, in all areas. They're successful all the way around. If that is you, I want you to come and check out the Entrepreneur Coaching Group. That's what our focus is, to help people become optimal performing entrepreneurs. Now, the Entrepreneur Coaching Group is a membership site where we've got so many powerful tools to help you achieve your goals. Every month we've got new content, we've got new masterclasses, we've got new personal development training, we've got experts that are helping us all to achieve our biggest goals. And I want you to give it a try out for free. If you go to coachheggie.com/entrepreneur, you can check out the package I've put together that isn't just free access for a month of the Entrepreneur Coaching Group. I've put together some of my best resources, over $2,500 of resources that you're going to get for free just for checking it out. So go take a look at it, order my mindset journal, get $2,500 worth of free resources, and check out the Entrepreneur Coaching Group. I look forward to seeing you in there and helping you become an optimal performing entrepreneur. Og Mandino said that the difference between those who have failed and those who have succeeded lies in the difference of their habits. Good habits are the keys to success. Many of the habits that will bring you success in life are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. I developed the Mindset Journal so that I could easily implement powerful success habits into my daily routine. The power of the Mindset Journal comes from knowing your top priorities and scheduling them into your day. The power of the reticular activating system and its relationship to your goals, your mindset questions, and your daily accountability. So if you want to implement some quick and effective success habits into your daily routine, go to jeffheggie.com/mindset journal and get yours today.